Hi guys, I'm Miriam Kotelis. Welcome to Radiant Being. I changed the name of the YouTube channel to be more inclusive of different modalities that I am involved in and that I hope to be involved in the future. Today I wanted to talk about attachments in my YouTube feed and in my Instagram feed. I am getting a lot of feeds or a lot of people posting about attachments and the idea that negative things can attach themselves to either our space, our homes, our loved ones. I have a sort of a different take on what these attachments are and what can make them go away, and also what can help alleviate, if not make them go away. Let's begin with the premise that what we think and feel between our ears, like what's going on here between our ears, has deep, deep, and serious implications with how we experience our reality field. So, our reality is constantly being shifted and shaped by our feelings and our thoughts. Now, let's just let that sink in for a second. Knowing that fact, and if we believe that evil things exist, and if we believe that evil things are happening, then we're obviously in our minds going to also be imagining it and picturing it in our minds. And even people that would probably normally say that they don't have a good imagination, when it comes to fear, they do. When it comes to fear, they can imagine very vividly what these attachments are about, what they want, what they look like. So our imaginations, when it comes to things that we fear, oftentimes is very vivid. And even people that would profess to not have a good imagination, very much so, are able to describe to a T what these attachments are all about. Okay, so I believe that because our belief and our imagination are so strong, they have the ability to shift our reality, that oftentimes we are not very careful with the thoughts that happen between our ears. And we think that maybe fearing that perceived attachment, and I'm going to say perceived because we don't know, thinking of that perceived attachment as stronger or having nefarious purposes, all those things, whatever it is that we think about this entity is how we are going to react. We are, in essence, imagining it and creating our reality and then believing it. I'm going to share a chart, and it is Dr. David Hawkins' map of consciousness. This is important because it all comes down to feelings and thoughts. I'm going to tell you a story. When I was pregnant, my husband confessed to me that his entire adult life, he barely noticed other pregnant women. But when I was pregnant, all of a sudden, he noticed every pregnant woman that came across his path. And all of a sudden, he seemed to see more. So that's exactly sort of parallel to what's happening when we fear an attachment or we fear an entity in our lives. We see it everywhere and we create more of it. It becomes part of our reality. And to pivot even a little bit more, looking at this map of consciousness, imagine all these people and each one of these feelings on the left, peace, joy, love, reason, acceptance, each one of these thought patterns or feelings, imagine there was a person that represented each one of those. And A person who is in grief will not recognize a person who is primarily in joy within the same room. Okay, that is my opinion, and I do believe that we can all coexist in the same world. We don't really need other worlds. That they're all like coexisting here, and that we could easily be in the same space and maybe not even notice that we're in the same space because of where our thought patterns are and what kind of energetic log or frequency our thought patterns are producing. Imagination is huge in being able to work with these perceived attachments, because we need to be very responsible about the thought patterns that we're putting out. So if we're fearing an attachment, we're in fact let's look at that chart again. If we're fearing the attachment, we're in fact at 100. If we are angry at it, if we are going through grief, that attachment might be more in our space, because those attachments tend to be within the lower frequency vibrations. So no, I don't believe that there is a good and bad necessarily. I think we're all existing within this same space, but we're all in all these different dimensions, if you may, and depending on where our minds are, we could hop around different levels. And so in order to address the issue of attachments, it's important that we pay attention to what's going on between our ears, and that we embrace love, embrace joy, embrace peace within our thoughts and within our imagination. And that is how we get rid of these attachments in our reality. In closing, there are such things as attachments and negative things that might be in our home, that might be surrounding our bodies, surrounding the bodies of the people we love. Yes. But that we have the power. We are not powerless. The belief in the fear and the embracing of the fear is what strengthens whatever negative thing is around us. And only in embracing thought patterns that carry a higher frequency are we able to actually not have these things attach themselves to begin with, or just completely be obliterated from our reality field. We have the power with our minds to control, and that fear is the number one invitation for these things to continue to grow and get stronger. So be very, very aware of the thoughts that go on between your ears. Anyway, I hope that helped. I know I'm a very roundabout way of explaining stuff, but it was something that I really wanted to talk about because it is a subject matter that everyone's talking about lately. And every time I hear about it, what I'm not hearing is how pervasive the feeling of fear is in all of these situations, and how we are very much continuing to invite that energy in our lives by not addressing the fear that is in our bodies and in our minds and in our imaginations. I hope this was helpful. Thank you.